Hello, survivors, and welcome back to Dr. Alejandro's lab. Today, I'm actually doing another piece of information about 7 Days to Die. However, this time, I am doing stuff with Darkness Falls. So, for the vanilla 7 Days to Die, I created a data sheet that gave you all the information about armors, weapons, both melee weapons and ranged weapons, entity damage across the different tiers, 1 through 6 in vanilla, and basically the low, medium, high, considering in vanilla, weapons had a random value attached to it. So they had a set average, and then it can go below or above that by 0.15 when you made them. So I'm doing a similar thing with Darkness Falls to give out that information to everyone. One important thing is when we're looking at Darkness Falls information, there is no random values anymore. That whole thing where a tier 2 weapon will have zero point 0.1 above the base weapon and then potentially be either minus or plus 0.15 doesn't exist. With the current version of Darkness Falls right now, damage is based on the tier of the weapon, and basically the tier of the weapon almost exclusively. So basically, almost every single weapon, besides some of the basic weapons, there are some weapons that only have a base damage. One of them is the Titanium Machete, which no matter what version of it you get, no matter how high a tier it is, it's always going to be 50 damage. That part doesn't change. All the other weapons in the game actually do have a range of values. Normally between 0 and 0.35, 0.4, 0.5, or some of the best weapons have 0.6. Where tier 1 will have a 0% bonus, and a tier 80 will have that top end 0.35 to 0.6 bonus damage. All this is based off the base damage. That's another thing that hasn't changed. Everything is based off of the base tier 1 damage of a weapon. And with that, same thing with all the perks. Just like in vanilla, the perks are all based 10% damage buff is based off the base, not whatever your weapon currently says. So that's one thing to keep in mind. But I have the datasheet done for both all the melee weapons and ranged weapons. But there are a couple of things I do want to talk about. One is that there are a few interesting things when it comes to the damage in this game. There is a special legendary Magnum. It can only be found. But that was the NPC version. The Black Sky Legendary Magnum. This one has a special ability where at nighttime it does plus 0.25% damage. Well, does plus 25% damage. It adds 0.25 to the base damage of the weapon. That's one of the special ones. The other two kind of special things in the game are the coil weapons. The coil weapons have a buff on them that make them do plus 25% damage to demons. So whatever your actual damage is on here, or whatever the base damage of the weapon is, it gets a 25% buff. And the third special type of weapon in Darkness Falls are the laser weapons. These are actually extremely special, extremely important, especially going into the end game, because the laser weapons, not only the guns, but also the laser sword, and the other actual plasma/laser weapons that are out there, they're treated the same way. These have a special ability on them which negates the ability of demons to regenerate. So, with this demon, if I shoot him with the coil weapon, I'll do a decent chunk of damage, especially because we have a damage boost, although this character isn't really stacked towards any thing. This is just a base character I created. Shoot it, and the demon quickly regenerates. That's because the demons have a base regeneration of 100, and if they're damaged, the regeneration goes up to 200. Unless you have a laser weapon, which completely negates their ability to heal. Which is why laser weapons are super important for fighting a lot of the endgame demons in the game. So that was one thing I wanted to show there. I'm going to quickly swap us over to have us actually look at the datasheet. The link for the datasheet will be in the description below. It's an expansion of my previous one, so it has the tabs for the vanilla game, and then also has the tabs to actually use for Darkness Falls information. The other use of this datasheet is taking a look at what you might want to make. So you could have different things you might be looking at, and I'll show you how that can be used a little easier once I open up the datasheet. But anyway, I'll see you guys all in just 1 second. I'm going to swap everything over, and we'll be right there. And here we are back again. As before, again, this is the exact same one datasheet I had before. With the front page, we have information about different parts about the vanilla game. And then we have the 2 Darkness Falls tabs. I'm not doing the armor. There's a lot less variability when it comes to the armor in Darkness Falls, so don't bother putting a datasheet together for that. But we have our melee weapons. This is just entity damage. Also, when it comes to these ranged weapons, this will all be based on base ammo. So regular bullets, stone arrows, stone bolts, those things. Because that's kind of what the base damage of the weapon looks at anyway. When you're first making, and you see it before you put a different type of ammo type into it. But on this, you can easily take a look. You have the different weapon types: blades, clubs, batons, going on down through all of them. I also include the axes on here, just because the axes can do a reasonable amount of damage. You don't have any scaling in this comparison, but you do have things like the combat axes and the plasma axe, and those actually do get damage scaling. So I wanted to have the axes in the datasheet this time, and not just the main weapons you'll actually really be using to fight zombies, because a lot of these axes can actually be useful when you're actually fighting. But when you look through, you can easily see, so the values do change between tiers. So there are differences between tier 1, tier 2, tier 3, tier 4. However, when you're crafting weapons, you're only crafting at the tiers of 1s. So that's what I put in. Also, it'd be a gigantic mess if I hit 80 columns. So I just went for the kind of the most important tiers. Tier 1, tier 11, tier 21. And with all this, you can look and see, oh, yes, we have the machete. We can see at tier 1, it's going to be 23 damage. At tier 80, it's going to be 36 damage. The titanium machete is just 50 across the board. One thing to note, too, is when it comes to mods in Darkness Falls, every mod improves the weapon by 5%. 5% of its base damage. Now, almost all these are base damage. There are some that are a little different, like the laser weapons. They are a base and then additional multipliers. So like the laser sword, tier 1, will do 63 damage. However, its actual base damage that gets multiplied is 60. The laser weapons were designed slightly differently when it came to this game, but I made sure the numbers are correct in the actual datasheet. So all the mods give 5% bonus damage, including the silencer. There is no damage penalty on the silencer in Darkness Falls. At least not in the version I'm playing on. I don't know if Kane changed that in his most latest update. I haven't downloaded the most recent update that he just did not too long ago, because I currently have a world I'm playing on. I didn't want to chance the update messing up my world. But yes, so we have all this information here. We can take a look and see what they might want to use. I think the range weapon is a little bit more helpful, because you're going to have to decide which one to unlock, which you want to craft. And it can help to be able to see, oh, how big of an improvement is this for me if I actually go ahead and actually make this weapon and make new ammo? How much am I getting for making this coil pistol over making Desert Vulture? And it's one of those ones where you just have the ability to look at things. Also with the snipers, you're able to see, oh, we have the Winchester rifle. We can see that it does between 70 and 94 damage. The coil sniper, between 74 and 111 damage. So you can take a look and see, oh, okay, this is going to end up being more damage. You can make other choices, because some people want to do things based on the ammo you're using, and some people want to do it based on what they feel. But if you're just looking at how much damage you can do to the zombies, this can really help a lot. Also, because when you craft in the game, you don't actually see the damage output you're getting until you make it, so you don't actually know what number you're going to have until it's out. So that's one of the big things that I wanted to just point out here. So this has all different main guns you're going to have access to in Darkness Falls, and I hope people get some use out of it. We have the weapon notes up here. Remind people, the Black Sky does 25% damage at night, coil guns do 25% extra damage to demons, and laser weapons reduce the demon's healing. Anyway, that's all I really have for you today. Thank you very much for coming out with me. I hope to see you again in my next video. And again, this is Dr. Alejandro, signing out.